culture itself tells a young boy not to cry. You're not allowed to cry. Be a man. Be this.
Welcome to 99 FM. I am Sibo, and this is Afro Touch, where we get to touch base with another amazing African. Well, for today, I have Abdul Khoza, who is a South African actor known for his notable roles in television dramas. Now, one of Abdul Khoza's most memorable roles is that of Qaphela Ngwenya in the popular South African telenovela Isibaya, to which he actually won a SAFTA Golden Horn Award for in 2019. Now, apart from Isibaya, Khoza has also been in like several telenovelas. We have Your Class Act, we have Zone 14, and we have Uzalo. Now, let's get to talk to Abdul. Abdul, welcome to the show.
Hello, Sibu. Thank you so much to you and the listeners of your show at Afro Touch.
Yeah.
Bongakulu, I really appreciate being here.
Yeah. Now let's talk about that breakout role. Like, what was that like for you? How has that really changed the trajectory of your career?
The breakouts in terms of acting.
Of yes, especially in Isbaya when you won the award.
Um, for me, that's one of the most memorable roles in my career to date. In terms of it being so many things to me.
Yeah.
Because firstly, I think it was a time where I was making a comeback in the industry, believe it or not, because I decided to leave the industry, especially after I had started, after winning class act shows like Intersections.
Yeah.
I did Tempy Pushas, and things were coming in, but they got to a point where suddenly stopped, and I wasn't getting jobs really for like a good 4 or 5 months. And in that 5 months, I decided to just leave acting altogether, go back home in KZN, and take up my old job as a fireman again. So when I had an opportunity to back into acting like 3 years later, um, such a show as big as Isibaya. And funny enough, that's a role I never auditioned for. It was
Oh.
literally handed to me by Bomb Productions. They trusted me with that role. Hence, I'm saying there was so much pressure about having to play Qaphela and also playing alongside the great Menzi Ngubane, rest in peace to him, who is my mentor to date. I always have in my heart whenever I take up roles and I do this because he taught me so much. Learning from him was a great experience. One of the most prepared actors I've ever come across in my life. That man would know my lines, your lines, the next guy's lines. That's how prepared Menzi Ngubane was.
Yeah.
And, for me to play his son, which happened to be his last role ever on TV, and for me to play his son as someone who never had a son in real life, he always told me how much of an honor it was to finally have someone that he can actually, see as his own son, even in real life, because our relationship went beyond the camera. It was literally a father and son relationship that we held dearly together. And for me to finally get the SAFTA, it was really the greatest comebacks I can say I ever had, because it gave me that, that stamp that I guess I was looking for, in terms of not being sure whether this journey that I'm on in terms of, is it really a career that I would be good in.
Yeah.
And to have a SAFTA for the first time in my life because of the role of Qaphela
Yeah.
that I played alongside Ubamgubane was a great honor to me. It changed my life completely. It assured me that I was on the right path, because, you know, um, there was some credit now. People were starting to realize and see my work. And it was the first time I ever attempted doing my own stunts because of
Oh.
martial arts. And I
That's
decided
nice.
to not.
Yeah.
So I decided to make sure that I use the martial arts in the role, because I felt a lot of me needed to be part of the role,
Yeah.
to make it original. And also because I didn't want it to be another Papa action, as much as it was written along those
Yeah.
lines. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be another gun blazing
Yeah.
sort of gangster, if you put it that
Mm.
way. I just wanted to show even the kids that my father teaches back home in the dojos that martial arts and the discipline of martial arts
Yeah.
can take you as far as I am, as an actor. So I really do appreciate the honor that I achieved with playing Qaphela,
Mm.
but it really was more of a revelation and testimony to me in my life personally that I am an actor and I should trust in myself whenever I get a role. So yeah.
And I'm glad that now you've gotten to that place of assurance. But like you said, before you even
Yeah.
got this role, there was so much rejection after rejection after rejection because this is not
Yes.
an easy industry to be in. So before you got here to this assurance of saying, you know what, I am on the right path, this is for me, mentally, how did you even come back to saying, okay, I'm going to try this one last time? Maybe that's what you said to yourself. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. How did you keep that momentum going as an actor when there's no role visible?
You know, I mean, for me, martial arts has always played a huge role in my life. In martial arts, we usually say you, you don't get old unless you start practicing. So when you stop practicing martial arts, you get old. So that's one thing that I can say has always kept me grounded and in place and centered because martial arts has played a huge role in my life in terms of my discipline and everything else that has followed in terms of actually being able to break through and shine in a role like Qaphela because of martial arts. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at it, Qaphela was just as crazy as any other gangster role that I've played or that is being played on TV, but the martial arts element really made him stand out because it was the first time South Africa was seeing spin kicks and flying kicks on screen. So it was an honor for me to be able to be that person that
Yeah.
actually brings such elements to the industry. I really do believe that because when I came in on Isibaya, I mean, after I started doing my own stunts and a lot of that, because we used to work with a lot of stunt guys,
Yeah.
but they really, really enjoyed working with me a lot
Yeah.
because I would do a lot on my own.
Yeah.
And so I think it really inspired a lot of other actors on the show, which I started noticing, and even outside on other shows, actors I started seeing wanting to commit more into doing their own stunts, hence to the level of great shows today, where you can see South African actors actually going into doing their own stunts. So for me, it was not an easy thing to do, to try help myself forget about the scars I had received in the journey so far. But because I have a good support system, with my family, my parents, and all my siblings, it's something that really was easier to do with a
Yeah.
support system like that.
Yeah.
And yes, it was fearful for everyone, including myself, give this another try.
Yeah.
But I just there's something in me that told me also that this is it. Like this time around, we say, would allow whatever happened before this to, dent the ability of having to go back on screen. So for me, it really was the passion that I have for the craft itself that allowed me to put aside everything else and just focus on the craft. So
So from when you started, Abdul, to right now, have you seen any changes, any evolution in the industry thus far?
I mean, there's a lot of changes
Yeah.
that always happen in all industries.
Yeah.
With us, I mean, there's been a lot of shows, if you take note, that have allowed our women to come into the front line and be leaders and be lead roles,
Yeah.
because there was a time where women just have to play the support of a lead character and whatever. Nowadays, we have, young women like I was on the wife, and lead role was given to someone as Umbali, Umbalenhle, who played Umashom,
Yeah.
who was leading us as the whole pack. Literally, that show was on her shoulders. As young as she is, to be one of her first major roles, and I salute her for being nominated for the Sabela Awards this year, because I've been dying for that girl to get some nominations for the great job she did on the show. And I mean, patience and God's timing is just always beautiful. So the fact that she has a nomination today, it doesn't take away from all the other nominations. I still believe she still deserved for the role, but I'm glad that she is getting her recognition too, because I can imagine after all the hard work she had put in, how she would have felt if she walked away without anyone really saying you did so well on that role. So I am really happy that she got. And like I said, for me, I'm one person who's just very, very happy to always be in a platform that teaches you so much. Because I mean, I'm not trying to just acting alone. I mean, myself, I'm a writer. I look forward to directing. I look forward to producing, because I also believe I've got great, great stories that I can share with the world. And because of all the knowledge that I had to learn through my journey, I finally feel confident enough to say I can present you with my, work and say, this I would love to see. I will put my name on it. I've worked hard for the name.
Yeah.
Now I'm able to risk it in places where I know I'm wrong, and I believe in my strengths as well.
Yeah.
I'm not getting challenged by my weaknesses because I'm not allowing them to stop me from doing anything I want. So the industry has really, really changed a lot because you're seeing more and more young people getting to lead big shows, whereas before I do believe it was more of the experience that will get you to lead. So a lot of the faces that were leading at the time were faces that you always knew were leading other shows. So with them giving us the opportunity, young people, to now start leading great and big shows, telenovelas that are going on for the first time on screen, and here you are, this unknown actor or upcoming actor, and you're getting to play this lead role. It's something that really is a great honor for all of us, and it's a great time for us as young people to grow, not only in the space of acting, say in all other avenues where you can grow in directing, grow in writing. That there's definitely a lot more, especially with the fact that we're not even relying on one broadcast anymore. We've got
Yeah.
so many streaming services. We've got so
Yes.
much that the industry has to offer.
Yeah.
So for us, really, it is a great time for growth. Hence, a lot of people want to sort of gravitate towards Africa now because they
Yeah.
want African stories. Even
Yeah.
that alone, in
Yeah.
terms of content, for us is a huge, huge, huge plus. I mean, to see that Ushaka is being made almost 30 years after it was released back then in the 80s. This is beautiful.
It's
This is a
beautiful.
time to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So definitely, definitely proud moments at this time.
And for you, is there a role that you just want to clinch your teeth in? It's like I'm dying to play this role. And now that you've even mentioned that you're a writer, maybe you can write yourself that role. Is there such a role?
Definitely, definitely. Without trying to or having to give away my ideas as well, because IP is such a
Yes.
very crucial thing these days. You cannot even share an idea. It's that crazy that it can leave your mouth and suddenly you are seeing your same idea on screen. But with me, I will give you an example outside the borders, like in order to protect my IP for this idea. But I want to do something that's more of a playing a great musician, like how they did the story of James Brown. If you've ever watched James Brown, I
Yes.
believe it's so so good. So I'd love to tell because I'm a big fan of music. I love music so much.
Yeah.
Music consumes my life. Music is therapeutic in my life, second to martial arts. So those things are almost like hand in hand to me. So I definitely would love to play one of our great musicians. In fact, I have something that I would definitely make sure that I protect until I get all
Yeah.
the the necessary rights to
Mm.
also say I can develop it further. But
Mm.
my focus would definitely be on something that's very musical, and telling a story of a great musician that
Mm.
probably existed in the times of Societan, in the times of
Yeah.
Mam Mariam Makeba's times and so forth, Hugh Babu Hugh Masekela's times,
Yeah.
that, yeah. So someone who used their music during a time where people didn't have the voices and
Yeah.
spoke for many people, because
Mm.
those stories are not told, and yet
No.
those people made such impacts just
Mm.
because they're not doing it politically in
Mm.
terms of being politicians at the
Mm.
time, or freedom fighters who were in the front line to say we are freedom fighters in March. They were
Mm.
literally encouraging the masses that went to those marches because of the music saying, in terms of telling people that yes, we have to fight for our rights,
Mm.
yes, we deserve to have our rights. So I definitely would love to honor the musicians who paved the way and
Mm.
gave great messages during the times of apartheid and during the times of hardships in any time, in any part of the world. But yes, we
Mm.
definitely have a lot of musicians like that here too. So
No,
yeah,
I would love to watch something like that. I mean, if Hollywood can still, be making movies about Elvis Presley, the most recent one, so
of
why not? We have
course.
amazing, amazing musicians that
Why
have given
not?
us
Even the
not just the
Kwaito
gift of
artists who used
music,
to be,
but the gift of fight and
yes,
resilience.
of
So,
course.
yeah. You've
No,
mentioned your
definitely.
wife. You played a very crucial role in that. I know you're also on Netflix's Kings of Joburg. For you, how do you
Yes.
pick your roles? How do you say, okay, this one speaks to me. I can definitely pull this off.
You, I don't think I would take that credit,
Ah.
because that would be so much credit as an individual, and I
Mm.
don't. I cannot take that credit. I do believe that this kind of do is spiritual, like it or not. It's a very spiritual world, because we literally out of our own bodies to embody someone else's spirit
Mm.
in tell that story authentically as we can. So me and roles, it's never my on my end. It's never my power, my brilliance, my intelligence, my anything. It's really been because I think the higher powers have chosen
Mm.
to put me in the stories that they feel I should be part of. I always say to actors that you can't cry for roles that you never got just because you auditioned for them and you probably did want the
Mm.
role. Because the ones you are meant to have, no one can ever stand in your way.
Yeah.
They will be your roles.
Yeah.
So I say this also because I know that as an actor, I, for example, the role Qaphela was handed to me, as I say, right?
Yeah.
And when I got onto the road the first time, I was given a role which I didn't audition for,
Mm.
because the role I auditioned for was a bit smaller, and then
Mm.
they chose to say, no, we actually would like to give you a bigger role.
Mm.
So hence that's how I got that role. So the same with the wife. With the wife, I auditioned for Sambulo, to be
Mm.
honest. And then without knowing, they just decided to switch things at the end and say, no,
Oh.
actually, you must just play Ngoba. Sambulo, we've got a Sambulo in mind. So
Mm.
it was never up to me.
Okay.
It was chosen for me. Or I can say the roles themselves chose me, or
Mm.
chose my body to walk
Yeah.
their story.
Yeah.
So it's really, like I say, it's such a spiritual journey that we embark on,
Mm.
that you just have to understand that it's nothing that I can say it's all in my hands or in my
Mm.
control. It really is God who does the favor. I always
Mm.
say to myself and tell people, Guti, I'm God's man, because God will choose the roles for me.
Mm.
It's not anyone who's going to stand in front of my audition and look at it and say, okay, I like this guy. They think
Mm.
they're probably doing that on their own, but God will tell them, you need this guy in your show,
Yeah.
or on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
particular show, that particular role.
Yeah.
So like I say, I'll never take the credit for saying I'm auditioning or getting the roles I want. I get many rejections, many
Mm.
rejections. And that's just part of the nature of the business that we are in. So it's one thing that I really am just forever grateful to get an opportunity to tell any story. And like I always tell people, there are no small roles, it's only small actors.
Oh.
Because if you look at it, my role on The Wife was a small one. If you looked at the book series, there's not much Ngoba role. So I literally just pulled out some hat. Because as soon as they gave me that role, I made it a big deal. Because it was a big deal to me, because I was a fan of the books too. So I wanted justice on my end. I was like, hey, I got a role. At the end of the day, I don't care how small it is. I'm part of the story and I'm going to tell it the best I can. So that's the kind of spirit that I bring on any set, to make sure that that role, I will perform it to my utmost best. As small as it is, as big as it is in the story. But I always say any role that is in the story is just as important as all other roles. Otherwise, it wouldn't even be on the story or in the story, you know?
I love
So,
that sentiment where you said there's no such thing as a small role. It's just small actors. There's an interesting role that you're playing currently in Shaka iLembe, and it's not even the character itself. It's more the hairstyle that has people going, "Whoa, hey, hey."
the
Were you
afro,
part of the
I
conversation? Because
see
I
the.
know it looks like you're hands on when it comes to your characters. How did that come about?
Well, I mean, to some extent, I
Yeah.
will take the fact that I'm bold enough to take chances
Oh.
with the opportunity that I
Uh,
get given. Hence, I'm saying with Qaphela, it was taking a chance to add
uh,
martial arts. It could have worked in my favor. It could have worked against me
yeah.
because they could have called it like, ah, what is this now? Kung fu
Mm,
going on? But instead, they appreciated that effort.
mm,
Efforts that I made on The Wife of jumping on tables and
mm,
little things that I did out of just being inspired to do so.
mm,
I didn't do it intending to get any kind of feedback.
mm,
But when I did, I also get humbled by
mm,
such because I despair of the moment. I was just seeing as something that could work, and I'm trying to be practical as always and be as realistic as possible because I'm like, I'm too angry to go around the table for this guy. I'm just gonna jump it.
jump
I
it.
want
Yeah.
him. This table I won't even see in my mind once I'm
Yeah.
so angry because I want to get to him.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's instincts with faith and the passion that I have because even when you say the afro the that I have
The
on
spikes.
Shaka
Yeah.
iLembe, those spikes were not part of my role. But when I saw the wig, I asked them in wardrobe, is there anyone who has this,
Yeah.
who's using this Rasta wig? And they're like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, we
Oh.
thought about if you
Mm.
would want a wig or not. And I'm like, of course, I don't never want to look like myself screen.
Yeah.
And for this kind of role, I can go as crazy as like was retailing some back in the day.
Mm.
And the hair also is significant of such because
Yeah.
there was really never a certain way that a man can have his hair versus the woman. So
Mm.
it was a very stylish era as much as it wasn't about the style. It was just
Mm.
them defining their individuality,
Mm.
at the time. But it becomes now when you look at it in our time, it's a hairstyle.
Mm.
Whereas back then it wasn't, because in that same hair, I'm
Mm.
able to hide a bone which I use as a weapon. When I run out of weapons, I've got a bone stuck in my hair,
Mm.
just
Mm.
ready to come out and be
Mm.
a weapon of a
Mm.
knife or any point.
Mm.
So it's one of those things where I enjoy experimenting so much on cameras, even such things as putting on a wig and looking completely different. Because I always said that I think if we had a way of putting on masks for every role, a specific mask, in order to protect ourselves, usually as in our personal life and spaces as well, that would be a great thing because no actor would suffer the fame that comes. You'd still be able to go out with your kids to the malls and do everything you want. But unfortunately, this line of work takes your face everywhere. It
Mm.
goes with you. So for me, like I say, the more different I mean, other people only realized it was me in episode 3 or episode, they're like, I saw you on
Is that
Shaka, I just
yeah?
didn't know you were. I've been looking for you, but I didn't see you. I was like, yeah, because tools are covered. You don't see a tattoo on me. Whereas they've come to know that, okay, if you see this guy's body, you're going to see a tattoo or two.
True.
But they are fully covered. I had to go through that 3 hours of makeup coverage. So
Yeah.
I was sometimes called up earlier than other people. But those are all things that are part of the process. And
True.
I wouldn't have taken it if I was looking at just those factors that I'm going to be called 3 hours earlier than everyone. But I'm this is a big role for me as someone born in KZN, who's who grew up watching Ushaka Zulu as well, and to hear that we are about to remake the most authentic version I can say so far, because even language, the loss of language in the first one is a big role, played a huge role in the impact that it made. Yes, I mean, if you look at it, all people ever talk about on that is Ubabu Hendicele, because he did stand out. Like, he really did. He embodied
Yeah.
his character so well that he stood out. But then there were a lot of other great actors, but his star shone so bright that you cannot not remember him as iconic as he was. So for us to remake something like that and also see it having to have more characters on the show and in the history being organized, as opposed to that time being just Henry Tele and Shaka Zulu being the main role. Here, people can see that we are talking about the time or era of Shaka Zulu. It's not necessarily just Shaka Zulu. So I love my role. I really do. I mean, I'm blessed to even be part of that big show. And like I say, from KZN to take that show, in your own language as
True.
much as we have,
Yeah.
is beautiful for
It,
me. It's
it
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'm
very much
honored to be
so.
on it.
Earlier, you had mentioned, your kids, and you're a family man. You're a father. You're a husband. How have you found that to be? Especially in the entertainment industry.
Well, for me, it's like I said, it's because of them that I'm able to still be talking to you today. Because if it wasn't for their kind of support that I have, then I wouldn't have even wanted to do or give this industry a second chance, because it's not like I would have regretted anything, because I was still happy being a fireman, as much as I had been happy being a soldier before that. So every job or career that I've ever been in, it really felt like so far in my life I've walked a journey of callings, because being a soldier, even if you join, to tell you it's not a normal job. In fact, they don't even consider it to be a job. It's more of a calling. The same with firefighting, whether you're a policeman or whatever. So the kind of careers that I've been part of, or that I've been blessed to be part of, have always felt like callings to me, because they're more of a thankless job than anything, because you can save somebody's entire and get burnt, and you probably won't even get a thank you, because as far as they're concerned, that's your job. You just had to put my house out, and then I can carry on and save what I can. It's one of those things where, even with this, for me, with being an actor today, it humbles me, because I feel like it's such an honorable role or honorable thing to do, that I have to make sure at all times that I really do realize that it's not for me. Because the power of entertainment, as much as it is entertainment, but the power of can actually change people's lives, because someone could be standing on a chair ready to hang themselves, and then suddenly they see you doing something great on screen. Like,
Yeah.
maybe that screen was going to be left on while they're hanging, but they'll decide differently and be like, actually, maybe not today. There's something great I can still do. With acting is just so powerful that I treat it as such, because it can heal people.
It does.
People go through the most, and sometimes they don't know how to talk. We don't have the structures in our communities where people can actually find the necessary help that will help that specific problem that they have. Especially when it comes to emotions, I feel like our people have suffered so much when it comes to that, where we're not that um aware of how to work around this things of having events and what, because culture itself tells a young boy not to cry. You're not allowed to cry. Be a man. Be this. So all of these things where they actually take away an opportunity of growth more than anything, because even as a man, I wouldn't be able to cook today if I said, no, cooking is a woman's job, cleaning is a woman's job. Then how do you take care of your
Of your
kids? Because I've got
family.
kids today,
Yeah.
girls to take care of.
Yeah.
I've got, so I have to be
Yeah.
able to change diapers. I have to be able to. I've taught my daughter how to wash her own panties and
Yeah.
such things. That's a role that I can't take and be strict about, because I need to also be willing to learn and teach wherever I can. So definitely, it's one of those rare jobs in the world for me that teaches you a lot, and because you get to meet so many different people in different spaces, you really have an opportunity. I always say, if you get on a set and you lock yourself in your trailer and you go on set and you come back, lock yourself in your trailer, you definitely will probably do great executions on camera, because you know what you're there to do. But if you don't experience the people that make all of this, because you remember that you as an actor wake up way after everyone else. The people
True.
that have to cook your breakfast be there by 3 in the morning, starting those meals. The people that are going to do your makeup, your wardrobe, have sit until 1 a.m. Only coming at 8 a.m. when everything else is ready for you. And, there's not much expected of you. So it's really something where if you get to actually appreciate everyone else's effort, then you sort of,
You're
it
a
makes
better
a
actor
different
for
kind
it.
of experience of, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So I've just always been humbled by knowing how much work goes on behind the camera as opposed to in front of the camera, where we can edit and change things as much as we can, or
Possible.
retakes. There's no retakes in these other things. Like, people just have to do their best, and it's a
Indeed.
once off.
Indeed. And now,
So yeah.
Abdul, finally, I just wanted to know, because you seem like the kind of actor like that loves to expand themselves, and not just as an actor. It sounds as a creative, you love to challenge yourself. Is there anything that you're currently working on that you'd like to share with us? And also, when are we seeing you in Namibia?
Oh, yes. Well, okay, let me answer these two very carefully. Firstly, yes, I definitely have something that is coming from my side. Many people might not know, and the few that do know already, that I do music. Like I said, for me, it's that I also am doing out of the utmost respect for the music. Like I said, any form of art has the power to heal or break people, you know? So I definitely am on the healing side of everything that I do. I really try and make sure that there's good that the people can pull out of it. So with my work in music right now, I've got an EP. It's called Run, which stands for Rise Under No One. So I've got an EP coming out under the alias of Ushemen. That will be my stage name, so people
Okay.
should know. I always say I'm the only shaman who has not even a single in the taxi industry, but I've got the title of shaman. So I'm definitely looking forward to sharing a lot of that. I've got the likes of Duncan on the EP. I've got the likes of Uzalo on the EP. I've got the likes of Qaphela from the EP. So it's definitely something that, excuse me, it's definitely something that I myself am very, very excited for. Actually, because, to even have that kind of cosign from people as big as they are, because I grew up listening to Duncan, funny enough, and Obozagwe before they even became as popular as they are today. But back home in KZN, these guys have always been big. You have to understand. These guys are like the big Nas of hip hop back home. So for me to have the opportunity to ask them to be part of projects and them to just say yes because they've the kind of music that I'm doing. For me, it's an honor because I do music to an extent where I to make sure that I don't cuss, because I really want my kids to not lose the image of the dad I would have created with them by the time they reach an age where they can actually experience my music. I don't want them to be like, but Baba, what were you saying? Like,
Yeah.
why would you say such things?
Yeah.
No, and I'm old and gray, and I'm thinking to myself, really, what was I saying? Like, why did nurses are like, Dad, you are so embarrassing, because it's funny, like these things last forever.
It does.
Our social media
Timeless.
nowadays, it's like that. Like, I mean, those are some of the changes I wanted to mention about the industry, in fact, because back then you couldn't get feedback as soon as you do today. Today, it's out now. In a second, someone is already on comments saying, it's not working. It's working.
Yeah.
So that alone also takes an effect on how performers feel when they go home or when they go back into the shoes of their roles. Hence, for me, I really don't like taking in social media so much or making social media such a big deal in my life, because it's not really. It's just a way of letting you know I'm still alive, I'm still doing what I love, should I wish to share. But other than that, for me, really, it's a huge part of my now. It's a huge step that I'm taking in. It's not easy to cross over in any industry. It's even harder to cross over as an actor to a musician than it is vice versa.
True.
So I really hope that people will be kind to me where they can. And please also be as critical as you can, because I'm not afraid of that. Otherwise, I wouldn't put my name on something if I was scared to. So I really am a huge believer in terms of what I'm about to do for the country, my music. I really feel like it's a good time, especially with hip hop. We've lost great hip hop artists, your Ricky Ricks, your Super Megas.
Yeah.
So, it really is a time where I feel like people have sort of almost neglected hip hop. I mean, at least we still have people like KO and Obo Blakey and everyone else, Nasty C's, that are coming or that are still continuing the hip hop culture. But there's more attention on Amapiano, obviously, in SA than there is in any other genre. So for me, it is one. That's also one of the huge challenges that I have, because you have people always asking you. Even now, they were like, "Are you sure you want to go ahead and release
And
a hip hop EP? Why don't
yeah.
you take some of these great rhymes and jump on my piano?" And I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what,
Yeah.
guys? Unfortunately, I'm also trying to enter music in a version of myself that I know. And I'm not going to try to create a version of myself just because I'm trying to fit into the what's popular right now, because I've never lived for anything that's popular,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, Abdul,
Hence, even if
here
I
in Namibia, we have stages, we have mics, we have people, we have an audience, we have a
I
crowd.
cannot
So can
wait.
you just come?
I cannot wait. What, Namibia, you are definitely in my heart. You are definitely
Yeah.
one of the first places I certainly want to come and see myself being able to perform in, outside of my country. So
Yeah.
I definitely am looking forward to anybody that can invite me to Namibia. I would appreciate it a lot. And I definitely want to come and share more of myself, more of my culture, more just the soul that I have. It's something that will definitely, like I say, with the arts, because I've put my soul in it,
Yeah.
should be here. Whoever is going to get a chance to hear my music,
Yeah.
because I believe I've got a healing soul, because everywhere I go, I try and leave people feeling good about themselves and, wanting to be a better version of themselves, because the fact that I have people around me also makes me want to be a version of myself always.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for jumping on this call and just talking to us. We cannot wait to hear the EP, but more so, we cannot wait to be here with you when you do come. It's a when, not an if. It's a when.
It's a yes. No, there's no ifs about it. It's definitely a when.
Yeah.
So when I do come, I also look forward to
Oh,
those
sorry.
that will
When can
start
we
knowing me.
actually, sorry, expecting your EP to drop? I know you spoke about it, but when can we actually anticipate it so we look out for it and we support?
Thank you so much for that, actually, because I had forgotten to mention such an important thing. People can look out for my EP. It will be available on all platforms as of the 28th of July.
Oh, great.
And soon after that, said I start touring as much as I can to bring the music live to the people. I'm actually working with a band right now because I want them to feel the effort, and I don't want to just play back tracks. I mean, it's the easiest route to do or deliver the music, but I'm passionate about my stuff and my work, that I would write for you on stage and you see me giving it to you as raw and as authentically as I can,
Yeah.
and have us all sing it together. I'm sure it's much better than. So yes, definitely. I look forward to you guys getting my music, downloading we can wherever you are in the world. Just make sure Shemen, it is what it is. So Shemen Run EP, the Rise Under No One is coming on the 28th of July. So for those then, please do support me. I would appreciate it very much. And for all the love that I've received, in Namibia, I see you guys even on the socials. Where I've never come and met you face to face, and I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me.
Thank you so much. Cannot wait to listen to the EP and to see more of
Thank
you
you.
on not only on the small screen, but finally also on the big screen.
You know what? I swear, promise that I will never stop until I get us there. I will make sure that I put
Yeah.
Africa on the map
Yeah.
as much as I can, because I really love being an African, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of the greatest blessings to be alive and African at the same time. It's so
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So definitely, I look forward to representing our people wherever I go, and yeah, hopefully one day alongside Denzel,
Yeah.
that one of my favorites. And yeah, definitely, dreams is what keeps us alive and keeps us pushing. So I'm definitely still dreaming along those lines.
Well, yeah, right. All the best. That was Afrotouch. We had Abdul Khoza. Look out for his EP. He said, Shemen, run.